everybody. My name is Brianna Morris. If we haven't gotten a chance to meet, I am a front desk assistant for the STEM and MLC. I started working for both centers last August, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm also very grateful for the opportunity to share some of my testimony with you all of what it's like to be a person of color in a professional environment while also having to navigate through and process microaggressions and exclusion. Throughout the training I put together, I focused on specific concepts that have impacted my life, the perspective of being a Black woman, a student, employee, and existing within our society. I also kept in mind interactions and experiences that I've had while being a part of the Miracosta community, working one on one with students, and being a student myself within the community. I wanted to share a little bit with you guys and where my inspiration comes from, and I also think it's important to share with you all. I've had experiences and learning opportunities that have helped me humble myself, but also allowed my passion for social justice to build and flourish. These experiences and learning opportunities remind me why I am pursuing what I am in school. I'm a sociology major at Cal State Fullerton, and before that, I was pursuing my AA here at MCC. I graduated and transferred. I truly enjoy studying society and understanding where history and biography meet. I have found it to be an important aspect of further understanding the society we live in and the social factors that impact individuals at large. I also know that social change can't happen without awareness, without an association or correlation. The ability to narrow down a cause and effect can be looked at more closely, and that's how you get social change. Sociology has opened up that door for me into understanding the history of our society and where we are today as a society on a micro and macro level. Understanding the why and the how, and then after that, what can we do? What can we do about it? What can we change? How can we change it? My whole life, I've always wanted to help people. I've always been more of the nurturing type, and I think my education has given me the opportunity to make a change, and this is what I hope to do with my career. My experiences are hard to share. It is scary for people like me. As a person of color, it's hard to process situations because we are used to doubting ourselves and our feelings first rather than doubting others. There is so much to each person you encounter. Personally, I've been through a lot of turmoil and a lot of trauma, which has required me as an individual to do my best to survive, whatever that has meant during my many points of my life. And that started at a very young age. There was a lot of pressure on me at all times. And it was more than just helping my mom out. I was feeling a gap of her lack of presence and parenting overall. And also being in an all around dysfunctional family. So it wasn't just with my mom, it was with every single person that you would refer to as an elder in my family. You take all of that and you add it to my experiences of being a Black woman in America, growing up, there are a lot of layers there. My experiences and my trauma are on the inside, but are still very much there. And when you have the impact of outside forces such as microaggressions, financial instability with little to no support, no job security, plus being a mother, a student, and an employee, there are a lot of things to juggle. But that's not a unique experience, and that is my point. Lots of people all over the world, everywhere, are dealing with the same thing, juggling what life throws at them, what life has to offer. And I have my story and it's personal to me, but there are a lot of people that have been through a lot. Biggest message that I hope you receive from this is that this is what we need to be careful of when we are interacting with students because not all struggles are visible. To raise awareness, I wanted to share with you in detail an experience I had in a workplace where I had to encounter microaggressions, white privilege, and exclusion, and it was the first time that I've been in that situation that I knew of. Now that I've learned more, I realize there have been many times in my life that I've been treated the same way. It did begin with a huge opportunity that for a short period of time changed my life in such a positive way. It was new and scary, but it was also very exciting. I felt validated for how far I had come. I moved here in 2014 and I completely started my life over. I started from scratch. I started living with my aunt and now here I am, living with my fiance and I have another child and an amazing job and I've come a long way. At this place, I felt valued and I was complimented and I was always greeted with a smile and a hug. That that smile when someone's happy to see you, their face lights up when you enter the room, that's the type of feeling I had. But unfortunately, that welcoming feeling didn't last. And all of a sudden, I found myself back in high school. It was a flashback. Back in a situation where I'm the only person that looks like me and has the type of story that I have. I will say that the people that I did connect to there, it's because we had stuff in common. Hint, hint. But reliving these social situations again as an adult was traumatic. I felt like I was reliving being bullied, stigmatized, and I also felt like I didn't matter to anyone. I grew up without representation at home, in my school, social group, sports, and anywhere I found myself, I was the odd one out. I was raised by the white side of my family. I went to private school, raised Catholic, and was part of a Catholic community. No one around me looked like me or came from the type of family I came from, and because of that, I grew up not knowing who I was and constantly trying to fit in. I constantly tried to fix myself, change myself to look and appear like everyone else that was around me. I tried to conform. I tried to be cool. I tried to fit in. I straightened my hair. I shopped at the stores that all the cool kids shopped at, so they would accept me. It definitely didn't work. Don't recommend it to anybody, just be yourself. But I was a kid, I didn't know any better. Growing up not knowing who you are is hard, and I have been working through that my whole life, navigating and learning how to live with my PTSD. I know it's always something I'm going to have to battle, but I'm very strong because of it, and I have been through a lot and gotten through on the other end. So many times. This is what this place reminded me of. I felt encouraged in the beginning, and I was put up on such a high pedestal, but I kind of lost sight of what happens when you look like me and you start to be successful. Throughout my shifts in this place, it started off great, and after getting promoted after a month at this job, I noticed a shift in treatment towards me. Awkwardness and what seemed like disdain towards me. That feeling when you enter a room, everyone gets quiet because you walked in. That happened every day. I thought being promoted meant that they had faith in me to do the job and that they thought I had what it took to do the job well. During this time, I was experiencing a lot of changes. I had just graduated, transferred, had a baby. I started at a university for the first time, and I started a new job. My home life wasn't the best as well, and changes have always been hard for me in general. Growing up, changes weren't a good thing. It was always something bad and typically something out of my control. So when life changes as an adult, I do have this hard time being present and enjoying it. I'm really, my anxiety is through the roof. Basically, it's what I'm trying to say, and it's hard for me to be in the moment. I deal with a lot of ups and downs in life, but during this specific time, I was experiencing a lot of drastic changes. I think that played a huge role in how I handled how they treated me at this place, but ultimately I was put into situations where my competence and integrity was questioned rather than having a professional, constructive conversation. More specifically, there was a shift. I was working by myself at an alternate location from where we normally conduct our duties. Ultimately, I was collecting items from students, and each item had instructions on how to collect those items. If it didn't specifically mention turning in everything that was given to me, I was taught to put them aside to be shredded. This day I did the same thing that I do every shift, put them to the side to be shredded later. I did that throughout my shift, and my shift ended. Someone else took over and I went home. I put my boys to sleep. I went to sleep pretty early during this time. I would fall asleep with them every night, and I woke up to a text the next morning stating that there was a problem, and they were hoping that I could clear things up for them. And I was like, okay. I responded to the text at 6:30, and I let them know that the items that they found were not instructed to be collected, so I set them aside to be shredded, like they had taught me. I did not receive a response to that text, but was confronted unprofessionally in front of other employees once I got to work. At this point, I thought she was testing me, and there is only one reason for that. She thinks I lied or I messed up and didn't admit it or something. I don't know. It seemed like she was fishing. And I didn't feel supported. I didn't feel like the point of that was so that I could learn better. I was so offended and embarrassed. At that moment, because she put me on the spot in front of other employees, I answered her defensively and basically recited the same thing that I had mentioned in the text. That was the last I heard of that situation, but it definitely wasn't the last time I found myself in that same position. Often I found myself thinking I was doing a good job because they were telling me I was, but then they were treating me like a disappointment. Being confrontationally asked in front of other employees was so unprofessional, and it definitely felt like the purpose was to humiliate me, not teach me anything. After this moment passed and months after being let go from the job, I found myself looking back, reflecting at each situation similar to this one, every single moment where I felt a negative vibe after. And I thought, like, what could I have done differently? Where did it go wrong? After talking to a few of my mentors at Miracosta and receiving validating support, I realized I wasn't the leader in this situation, and there wasn't anything that I could have done or should have done. It was their job as my superior to let me know and to talk to me and be real. It wasn't my job to teach myself, and it definitely wasn't their job description to attempt to embarrass me or confront me unprofessionally. Situations like this began to happen more often, and it progressed more and more as time went on. The consequence of these situations, microaggressions, exclusivity, put me into a depression. I was so worried because I had to worry about how I was going to pay the bills and support my family. And I was taking 2 summer classes. At the time, I had about 2 weeks left of that session. I passed my classes, but it was just really hard. And I found myself thinking, was this all worth it? I learned a lot, but was it worth it? Was it worth what I'm going through right now? I was traumatized, and I wasn't myself for a long time. I cried every day. I was mad and I was sad, and I was in a cycle of sleeping, not eating. I internalized everything that they put me through because I was never talked to. I wasn't given a chance. It definitely pushed me to a breaking point, and I've come out from the other end a lot stronger, just like I have throughout my whole life. It has been 2 years since this happened, and I'm now on medication for anxiety, depression, and insomnia. Still trying to figure it out. I haven't quite nailed down the remedy, but it's a trial and error, and this is why it's taking me so long to embrace medications for this kind of thing. But this experience has still stuck with me, and that's how traumatic it all was for me, that if I saw them today, it would make my heart hurt. It makes me want to cry just talking about this and thinking about it. And like, this is how quickly things go downhill for people like me, even when you're doing really good. It's not enough. I wanted to share this with you so that you understand the complexity of individuals and that you understand when navigating with another person, it is a social interaction, no matter how long it is. And it can either be memorable or not. And it could be because of something good or something bad. But people like me, there's going to be more of a reason to remember. And I want you guys to keep that in mind when you're working with students and even when you're within your own community. The way you interact with others and how you treat them has a consequence, and it is up to you if it's good or bad. My biggest fear when experiencing the situation I shared with you guys today was I was worried if I came forward and reported these people, would anyone even listen to me? Like, would they take me seriously? This place have a long list of reasons why I was a terrible employee. Like I said before, I had no idea, and I don't have any more of an idea now. They never provided me with that opportunity to learn. They stigmatized me, judged me, excluded me. The way I was let go was probably the most unprofessional thing about the entire situation. They let me go through a copy and pasted email. And it didn't seem personal to me. It seemed like something that others had received that got let go previous to me. I was the last person to be cut, and they waited until the last day, June 30th. After it was all said and done, I was afraid to come forward. I was not willing to risk my reputation anymore because, I know who they are and the weight that they have and I'm just not willing to take that on right now, and that's okay. But I have kids to take care of. I have people that depend on me. Sometimes I'm going to have to bite my tongue. Sometimes I'm going to have to let bad people get away with things that they shouldn't be doing because they have power, but it's because I'm in such a vulnerable place. I don't have the room to do that. And I just truly believe that I can still do something by sharing my story and through the way that I live my life. So here I am, still trying to do something about it in my own way. I believe that what you put out into the world is what you receive. It's what you get. We have an opportunity as employees at MiraCosta to ensure students feel seen, heard, and cared for. Let's be a force for good without knowing what others are going through. A negative interaction could push them to a breaking point without the intention. I am so blessed that this happened because I ended up here with you all, and I'm so grateful for that. This experience reminds me of a saying, what is meant to be yours will be yours. If it passes by, it was only meant to be yours for a moment. I have made peace with the notion that I wouldn't have been happy there. If I would have continued working there, my mental health would have continued to decline even more. I have found peace in what happened. Forgiveness for others who don't apologize or acknowledge the hurt they have inflicted on me provides me with inner peace, strength, and growth. I know I did everything I could to be a good employee. I know in my heart they are blinded by privilege, and someday hopefully it will click for them, but it's not my job to make sure that happens. Even if it wasn't their intention, the feelings I got from working there boiled down to the impression that you cannot work there, be a person of color, and be yourself. Thank you for listening, and I hope you all have an amazing day. If you guys want to discuss anything or have any questions, I'm here. Bye for now.